Hello Earth 2 community, I hope you've been doing well and keeping safe. Welcome back to another video. In this video I'll just briefly discuss a little bit about the different phases inside of Earth 2. To date, Earth 2 has spoken openly or outwardly about three phases: Phase 1, Phase 2 and Phase 3. Phase 1 saw the launch of our MVP, and it provided players with the ability to buy, own, trade, sell and bid on geolocational virtual land tiles based on real-world locations. There was also the option to lightly customize your properties, the player's properties, with brief explanations on what the property was and country-generated flags. The country-generated flags led to the ability of players to create their own tile art, and really saw the first introduction of player creativity on Earth 2, which was beyond cool. Phase 2, which is what we're in right now, is focused on the economic simulator, or ECOSIM for short, and it is predominantly focused on creating the economic foundation for Earth 2 to move forward. This phase is extremely important and will be rolled out over a long period of time. However, to date we've seen the rollout of some ECOSIM features such as mentars, ether, essence, jewels, the bazaar and more. EPLs, or Earth 2 property locators, also became available in Phase 2 as part of our long-term goal to introduce searchable text data capable of linking directly to 3D locations, much the same way as a URL works for a web page. The importance of EPLs will become more apparent over time. The player creativity that we saw in Phase 1 with tile art was so impressive that we decided to focus on building our own 3D model solution, which also rolled out during Phase 2. This allowed players to create something called holo buildings. These are also part of Phase 2, and they not only support player creativity, but they provide utility inside of the ECOSIM as well. Soon players will be able to sell their holo buildings to one another, proving once more our commitment to rewarding players for their creativity and by allowing them to build, sell and trade their creations. The next part of Phase 2 will be focused on resource availability and the validation of resources on a player's property. This will in turn lead to the ability for players to start producing resources and raw materials from their properties and much more. We originally planned for Phase 2 to be more or less completely based on the website, so completely in 2D. We didn't imagine that much of Phase 2 was actually going to involve too much 3D real-time gameplay. We had the intention of delivering 3D gameplay probably a few years into the future as we drew closer to Phase 3. However, the progress that our Phase 3 team has made on developing our first Earth 2, the digital world, has been so impressive that we sat down and looked at the opportunities that we had and how we could potentially introduce 3D gameplay a lot earlier. So instead of Phase 2 being completely based on the website in 2D, we really pushed the barriers. Our team worked hard, and now we're looking at the real opportunity to use the E2V1, the first 3D digital world of Earth 2, as a platform to deliver that 3D gameplay. This is something we internally refer to as like a Phase 2.5. Phase 2.5 is definitely a big bonus for our project. It makes Phase 2 a lot more interesting, and although Phase 2.5, or this Phase 2 3D gameplay, will not have the same high level of detail that we expected for our Phase 3, or we expect for our Phase 3 in the future, it will provide a much more interesting platform for our players to interact on and have the Earth 2 experience inside of. It will allow you as the player to experience early visualization of our 3D geolocational metaverse, which is a win for everybody. It will allow us to move toward Phase 3 in steps and continuously roll out updates to this work in progress digital world, providing better and better experiences over that period over that time. Anyway, I just wanted to create this video to provide some clarity on the earlier than expected 3D gameplay that we're going to be able to provide to you. It is definitely a big win for Earth 2, and the fact that we're rolling this out during phase 2 is way ahead of schedule, way ahead of our internal plan schedule anyway. I'll continue to share some candid thoughts from time to time as time permits, and thank you again for listening. I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, keep safe and goodbye.